Hello, and welcome to Pivotal Moments, a podcast sharing, exploring, and celebrating stories of change, big or small. We are all agents of change and have the power to pivot at any point, at any time. I'm your host, Melissa Robena, along with my co-host, Siria Gutierrez. On this episode, I lead the conversation reflecting back on 2020 through an appreciative lens. In this model, we first identify the highlights of 2020. Next, we explore how our individual strengths helped us get through this challenging time and use this foundation to look forward into 2021 with intention. All right, so 2020 is nearing an end. How do you feel about that?
I feel like I've spent an entire month talking about 2021 and I want it to be here now.
Are you just so over 2020?
I think a lot of people are. I am certainly happy to put this year behind us, but at the same time, there were lots of good things in the year. And so, like many people do during this time period, we are going to reflect and also look forward.
Yes. So let's capture some of these lessons. So you said that you've learned a lot in 2020. What have been some highlights for you?
For me, definitely getting back in touch with my creativity. That's my number one highlight. And realizing that I feel very much alive when I am creating.
I would say for me, it would be personal growth. I think I shared this with you, but I'll share this with the listeners. It's kind of a funny story. I just had a counseling session with my counselor last week, and we're just talking about stuff that has emerged. Sometimes a lot of things will emerge as a result of the podcast, whether they're triggers, past traumas, whatever. And we're going through, and she stopped me and she said, this podcast has really served as a positive outlet for you, positive emotional outlet for you. And she's like, I remember when I was first working with you, you fought me every step of the way. But she's like, now I see that you are more communicative, you are more open. And she's like, I never thought we'd get here. And I'm just like, bitch, I hope so. Like, I pay you. I hope that's we're getting here. But, she's like, it's so nice to see you here in a happier spot.
Mm-hmm.
And, it kind of made me think, wow, I really have come a long way. Even the stories that, we've shared here on the podcast, a lot of the learnings. So that has definitely been a highlight of mine, mm-hmm. is getting to know myself, getting to know you. Definitely been a highlight. I've definitely grown a lot this year despite being captive in my house.
Or maybe because of it. I think with us not having to run around like we did before, with us all being forced to pause, right? We've all talked about the great pause of 2020. I mean, this is something that people are going to talk about for generations, that has impacted everybody. And for me, I think about the reset that had to happen. And not only was it a reset, but it was a reckoning for my soul, is what it felt like.
That's intense.
It was super intense.
Well, you had said something to me a few weeks ago about how 2020 really woke up a lot of people. What do you mean by that?
It was wake up. What are you doing? It's for a lot of people, myself included, it made you have to do some introspection. Because if you're running around and you're avoiding your issues, you're avoiding the reality or the truth of what your life is, this year very much put that into perspective. And you have to take a look at this. And if you're not satisfied with where you are right now, what are you going to do about it? And some people were able to rise. Other people, wanted to very much go back to how it was before, or continue to be an ostrich and just, nope, I'm in denial about all these other things. Let me figure out what I can do. I mean, when alcohol sales are going through the roof, people are numbing. And part of it is that they're also scared. Like, I'm not judging anybody for those actions at all. But it's a reaction to all of the different things that have gone on this year. And I slowed down in so many different ways. And it was good for me.
Interesting, because I did slow down in some ways, but then hit the gas pedal in others.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely hit the gas pedal professionally. I mentioned it before, where, you know, my consulting firm, we delivered a lot of in-person trainings and we had to quickly adjust to virtual. So I didn't get to slow down professionally, but personally I did. But I know that you and I had talked about this, and, you know, it's kind of just like a recap for the year for us. I mean, I know that we launched this podcast in August.
But we started working on it back in what? I it's kind of funny. I measure my life before and after TikTok, which basically means my life before and after I got a ring light, which was in May. And that's when I started making more things and being more creative and just doing stupid shit on the internet, because why not? And just having fun with it, right? So I know that that's the time period that kind of sticks out. It's like, oh, in May I started living a different life and having more fun, and that included the planning and just the beginning phases of this podcast.
Now, how do you feel your connections have weathered in 2020?
Depends on the connection. I think some friendships have unfortunately dampened a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and that has to do more with just time together, where we would spend a lot of time before we weren't able to. And not that that affection is not there for those people, it still is very much so, but that day-to-day presence is not there. Where other people, especially some like really old friends that I've had for a very long time, they, it's kind of sad, but it also makes me happy. They reached out and were thinking, okay, now we can reach out to you because you're not as busy. And so that one like hit me. It was like, you didn't think you could call me before? And they were like, not really, no. But now we know that you are available, because everybody's fucking available
I
now.
see you tearing up right now. That hit you, huh?
Oh, completely. Because I was like, man, like, you really thought you couldn't do this before? And so it brought a little bit of sadness, but at the same time, now we're having regular conversations that we haven't had in a really long time. And so even though it caused a little bit of pain to hear that truth,
Mm-hmm.
of you got too busy, not necessarily you got too busy, too big for your britches kind of a thing, just we know you're very busy. We wanted to respect that we didn't feel like we could reach out.
Is there anything that you could do? Because maybe other friends or family members might perceive that as well. Is there anything that you could do, either implicitly or explicitly, to tell them, no, I mean, I might be busy with work, but I'll always have time for you?
Depends on the person, depends on the relationship. And so just even having that awareness of, oh, some people feel like they can't do that. Well, all right, I can try to do better, but it's still an individual relationship, right? And so the relationship I'm thinking about has resurfaced.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say it reblossomed, because it was always there. I mean, we've been friends since we were, 10 years old. And it was that connection again. And like, we're back to having our own little inside jokes that some of our friends from the back then are like, what are you guys talking about? It's like, you wouldn't understand. It's like, I want to be on the inside jokes. Like, no, that's not happening.
For me, my relationships actually think have gotten stronger. I've seen who my true friends are.
Mm-hmm.
For those that, and it surprises me. Some people that I didn't think were that close of friends are the ones that are reaching out, that are texting me, hey, just thinking of you, wanted to see how you were doing. And being the introvert that I am, maintaining relationships can be a little bit more difficult for me, because even though I value relationships, it takes a lot of effort from me.
Mm-hmm.
And especially since I'm just kind of like flexing my new emo muscles in terms of like expressing emotion and communicating to people, all of that takes energy, all of which is new. And I mentioned earlier that this has kind of been my year of growth, and that is something that I've been working on. So I too have been kind of, like any other muscle, I'm trying to flex it, I'm trying to exercise it. So now I find that I'm the one texting, I'm the one, I won't pick up the phone. That's next level stuff. But like, I can text. And for me, being the introvert that I am, when the Rona first hit, I was like, man, I'm living my best life. This is the dream. And then as like 3 months became 6 months, and now becoming 9 months, I'm like, okay, I'm over it. But what I can take from this is the fact that it has highlighted the importance of how much I miss it. And I think sometimes I would hide behind my title of introvert as to why I might not reach out or why I might seem closed off. But truly, like, the Rona has highlighted how much I miss my family, how much I miss, you know, brunch with the squad, specifically mimosas. But like, you know what I mean? Just like those little
You
things.
miss the mimosas, be honest.
Okay, that's a fact. But you know, it highlighted how much I missed it. And you know, I don't, not that I took those relationships for granted. I just don't think I realized how important those connections were for me until this year.
Exactly. That realizing how important those connections are and which relationships to invest more time in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I know, like, when we're in interviews, we often ask our guests, well, what strengths do you possess that you believed helped you through X, Y, and Z? So I'd like to pose this question to you, which is, what strengths do you possess that you believe have allowed you to thrive or excel or survive 2020?
What has helped me survive?
Specifically, your strengths.
My strengths. Uh, my toxic positivity.
Oh, it's super annoying. No, I'm just kidding. It's not.
Yeah. So yes. So I joke around about it because it's one of those things where I talk to a lot of different people. We have a pretty big team, and I'm constantly seeing the bright side of everything. I can find the positive in a lot of things, and sometimes people don't want that, and so that's why I kind of joke around calling it toxic positivity. Although that is a thing that people are like way too positive, and I don't think I quite have that, but I do definitely have that strength of being able to see that. And I think something that has really helped me with that was starting a gratitude practice.
And what is that gratitude practice specifically?
Nightly, I journal, and I'm really obnoxious. I have a couple different journals that I do at night. I do a list journal. I do just like a little blurb of what my day was, and then add a longer form journal where I would really like get into all my thoughts and feelings and do all that stuff. But I switched that over to just focusing on gratitude. What am I grateful for today? And what I've noticed is a lot of the themes that pop up are I'm grateful for some of my own attributes and skills. I'm grateful uh, for people, for the people that are in my circle. Last week I had somebody who on my team came up with an idea to do something for the entire group for Christmas, and it was a little, well, some people would consider it little, of just organizing the Secret Santa, and for me that was huge because a lot of people don't take ownership, and it felt like all the ideas were coming from the top, even though people all over the organization want to do things, and so seeing somebody take the initiative and put it all together. I'm besides myself. I'm so excited about it because I just love seeing people try different things. And so
Then do you believe that you helped facilitate that?
I do a little bit. I do think that I have helped with that aspect of it, but more so just noticing these other things. Yes, I'm grateful for the fact that we have a roof over our heads, that we've had our jobs. Those things are there, but they're not my main focus. I'm grateful for spending time with people. I'll be grateful for things that I didn't appreciate beforehand. And so what's coming to mind is I'm hyper vigilant, and I know that that is something that can be a negative aspect, and just being super aware of things. Part of that comes from my trauma, but at the same time, I'm a trial attorney. Having that awareness and being able to read the room when I go to trial, those are skills that people are trying to attain that I just have developed, not naturally. Like, I developed these things from my trauma. So, not necessarily that I'm grateful for my trauma, but I'm grateful for the good things that have come out of it. Like, I can see more of those things. So, I think for me, that practice forces me daily to look at what was good today, even on really shitty days.
Now, if we're asking, like, let's say a listener is interested in exploring doing something like this, the easier the better. So, how long do you spend looking for what's good? Or how long does it take for you to do these gratitude practices? 5 minutes, 10 minutes each day?
It really depends on what speaks to me that day.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was really cold the other day because among the many things that we do, turning on the heat is also something that Matt is crazy about. So
I don't understand it, but whatever.
Well, it's on right now, which makes me super happy, and warm. But besides those things, so for a couple days where I wasn't just feeling well, it would be like 1 or 2 sentences. It wouldn't be a long thing. But other days, it would be a very long practice, and I'm filling up a page just of my thoughts and why I'm grateful for this, and just taking that time to process it. And so it really varies. There's no right or wrong way to do it, but it is just something that I do every single night before I go to bed. So I go to bed thinking about something that I was grateful for, and, finishing off my evening with, the questions that Matt and I ask each other every night.
And what are those 2 questions? There's 2, right?
Yeah, there's 2 questions. So we ask each other, what made you laugh today? And what did you learn?
I love that. Simple but powerful. Mm-hmm. So what other maybe additional skills would you cultivate? No, this builds onto it, though.
But I want to hear from you about your strengths.
I would say growth mindset. Simple. Because, we talked about Carol Dweck earlier in a previous episode, and understanding that I have a growth mindset. So I'm constantly trying to find things. Yes, I'm a type A personality. Yes, I have to stay busy, and that can be a negative. But being stuck in my house with, working from home and everything like that has really helped me, because I'm finding new books. I just painted my bedroom. Growth mindset. I'm looking for things that stretch me beyond my comfort zone, that keep me occupied, because that seems to really help me. So I think in order to cope with the stressors that 2020 has brought, having that growth mindset and kind of expanding my skill sets. Video editing is also something new that I've played around with this year for work. That's also plays to my growth mindset. So definitely I would say that was a strength of mine that has kind of allowed me to cope, handle 2020 in my own way. So that's really helped me.
That's good. I like that you've realized that about yourself.
Yes, definitely self-awareness has helped me realize that I do have a growth mindset. So how can I structure my work? How can I structure my daily activities so that I can continue to operate from that growth mindset? Because that brings me the most joy. So building on your strengths, which is, what additional skills would you like to learn that would help either enhance these skill sets, further promote it from this place of gratitude?
For me, what I'd like to develop more is I've been toying around with the idea of getting into coaching, right? So I think that there are things in coaching to help bring out the good in other people. That's really something that I've been drawn towards. And so that's why having a team member come up with something and do something out of their own initiative and be excited about it, that really excited me. And so whatever different things I can do to help me help people. I like helping people, whether that's as an attorney, in my personal life. I'd joke around that, Matt's like 2 very separate circles, and he's not quite a Venn diagram. Like, maybe they touch a little bit. He's very good at keeping his work, and his personal. And I'm a circle. Like, there is no Venn diagram. I'm all of the things. And I prefer that. I prefer being fully integrated. And so I do enjoy having those things, because I've always thought, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Oh my God, my father would say that all the time.
Yeah.
Wow. Now that's interesting. So when someone says, all right, leave leave your shit at the door. You hear that often in work, right? Like leave your shit at the door. Like don't bring your personal life into that. You don't believe that should happen.
Not that it shouldn't happen. I think it can't happen because there isn't a there isn't a magic door that you walk through where it's like boop, 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 boop. No, I can take it all off and just focus on this. Sometimes you can put on those blinders, and you have to, right? You have to focus in on what it is that you're doing in that moment. But once you take those blinders off, or you don't need that intense focus on whatever that task is, all of your other stuff's going to come up. We're human beings. We have all of these different things happening with us all the time. And so I think it's short sighted and unrealistic to try to force people into this model of, when you're here, you're only here. And, the fact that Johnny's got a fever at home shouldn't come into it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have children, but I used to compartmentalize very well. And while it does serve a purpose, if you continuously use that model in order to cope or to, send that email off at work, it's going to blow up in your face. I think my counselor would say, like, think about like your mental health, like every issue, every problem, whatever is a box, right? And you're trying to organize it into your closet. But say there's a issue, like we'll just say, I think we may know that I have some daddy issues, very little, very minor, right?
So small.
It's like a blip, right? So you want to talk about that, right? But I have packed so much shit in this closet that if I try to even just reach for that one topic to talk about or work through, it's all going to come piling on to me because I haven't worked through it. I haven't opened each box. I haven't organized things, right? And that's what ends up happening. So I used to be very guilty of compartmentalizing because I was like, work is work, and I'm just gonna leave my stuff at home. But that not that doesn't make you human, but I think in order to bring your full self, you have to bring your full self into work, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Right. And so, if you're, since you don't have kids, neither do I, right? If you're concerned about Haley's health,
Haley's my dog.
Yes, Haley's your dog, but you're a dog mom, right? If you're concerned about that, it's going to distract you. It just is. And it's a normal thing that's going to happen, and people are dealing with that. And if anything, 2020 has really highlighted that, hey, you haven't just hired a IT professional or a marketing consultant. You have hired, people with things and kids and families and parents and responsibilities. And more so than at any time, I think employers have had to realize, oh, okay, we have full people that we're taking care of. We're not just punching a clock or there just to produce. Like there's so many things beyond work that are going on that are going to impact your work.
And this is why you're going to be an excellent coach. I just know it.
Thank you. I'm excited about that.
For me, what I would like to do more of that could help this growth mindset, and I've mentioned this to you before, which is I want to start taking like master classes. I want to start taking like professional development, personal development classes, because as a young kid, even I loved school. And we joke that in my summer school days or summer school, I beg my parents for math workbooks or reading workbooks or something like that, because that growth mindset, I was just itching for it. So for me, what I think I could do to continue to cultivate this curiosity mindset that I have is to enroll in some courses, not necessarily college per se, but things that speak to me personally. Maybe there's a specific topic that I want to delve into or learn more about, and I want to start investing in myself, because I'd be like, oh wow, that's like that course could be $500, right? But why not? Why not invest in myself? If I'm not going to invest in myself, who will? And so I think that is something that I would like to explore more for 2021.
Investing in yourself. I like that. I fully support you on that.
I thought that you might, nerd.
I like learning.
No, that's exciting. So I know you don't like resolutions. Talk about why you don't like resolutions.
I don't like resolutions mostly because if I want to do something, I just do it.
So you don't see the new year as like new year, new me. No?
No, not necessarily. I can do something whenever I want to. I just have to want to do it. That's the main thing. So I can, I do believe in the clean slate aspect, which is something that I learned from Gretchen Rubin about just being able to tie a new habit in with a clean slate. So a clean slate can be a new year, it can be a new month, it can be starting a new job, moving to a new house, um, ending a relationship, starting a relationship, all those different aspects of um, a clean slate. And so, yeah, the new year can serve that. But if I want to go on a cleanse and it's not, not that I do cleanses, but if I want to go on like a diet, like, and
You're
it's
like,
the
oh
middle
man,
of
it's
February.
March. Sorry, you gotta wait
Yeah,
until
I'm not
next
like,
year.
oh, I have to wait until the beginning of the month. Like, no. I mean, right now I'm doing one of those 30-day challenges on Instagram stories. And I just happened to start it on the first of the month. That's going to, in theory, make it easier for me. However, sometimes I see those things and I just like them, and it's like the 15th of the month, and I'm over here like day one, like, which doesn't make logical sense, but
It's like, you're the reason why there's chaos in the world.
not chaos.
That logic.
It's just finding, but what it is people finding excuses to hold something off. I'm not going to eat healthy today because
I told myself,
I don't start until Monday. And so then people just do a bunch of crap to themselves beforehand. If I want to start something, I just do it.
Well, and I think for me, I've never been into, I think I shouldn't say that. I did do resolutions for several years, but now I just try to set things that I want to do. I mean, you can call them goals, but I'm not like, okay, as of January 1st, right? And I would create a list of maybe like 10 to 12 things, depending on what I wanted. And that would take a month. And I knew when I try something new. So, okay, the month of February, what on my list is bringing me the most energy now? Let's start to explore with that one. And that's not to say that, I try something and it works perfectly, whether it's like eating keto or whatever. I mean, I'm not. But like, just because you're trying something new doesn't mean you're going to excel at it right away. And so to give myself a month to kind of figure out how that's going to work well for me in my lifestyle. And then I might find at the end of the month, you know what, it's not bringing me joy. I'm not liking it. I miss carbs, whatever it is. And then it's just like, okay, that doesn't work for me. So just because you make a resolution, I think people are so like, they either see it as they fail. If they don't complete one, they're like, well, fuck this. Like, I told myself I would drop 10 pounds in the first month and I didn't. So I'm done. And I think that we give up on ourselves too quickly when we become so resolute with resolutions.
I think we definitely can do that. And so it's trying to find a different way of looking at it. And what I don't set resolutions, but I do try to set an intention. And so what I've done is I've picked like a word.
You shut your mouth. You talk about how I read your mind. My last one was give power to a single word. You bitch. That's my word. Bitch. I get out of my head.
I'm not in your head.
Okay, so that's what I've been doing. So I had one of those bracelets. I'm sorry, I can't help but laugh that you seriously took the words out of my mouth. Yes, so I like to live this mantra, right? So I try to have a word that signifies what I'd like to live into for that year. I had a bracelet. What was it? The intent bracelets? My intent bracelets. And mine said...
This is not an ad.
No, it's not. It's not. But...
We're not there yet, but we will be. Go on.
It was be brave. Because at that time, I was going through a lot of personal stuff in my relationship with my spouse and like a few other things. So that be brave, anytime I looked down, was like, okay, how can I exhibit braveness in this moment? Whether it's having a difficult conversation with my spouse, whether it's, telling a colleague no. I mean, whatever that looked like, how can I demonstrate this in my actions and in my words to myself, to others? So...
Have you picked one for 2021?
I have not. I was about to ask you that. I think, as you would say, it's December 5th. Slow your roll. I don't know what my word would be yet.
I'm not sure either, but I can tell you that that concept of having an intention, I've done that for a couple of years of picking a word. The 1 year I had fearless. Like I wanted to, not the word fearless, like I didn't want to be fearless. I wanted to literally have less fear.
I love that.
So that was something. And then I've done things like I want to do things that make me soar, like SOAR.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, I wanted to feel lighter. I wanted to get rid of things that were holding me down.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year in 2020 was my 90% rule. So it was 90%. That's what I had in mind of just, I need to be 90% excited about this or not doing it. And for 2021, what's coming to mind for me is,
If you pick the same word as me, I swear to God.
no, I don't think so. Well, I don't know.
Well, as you're talking, I was just thinking about, okay, here I said that my strength that kind of surfaced for this past year has been my growth mindset. And things that I could do would be to explore investing in myself through professional personal development courses.
Mm-hmm.
So really, at first I was like, growth was like, that growth, the word growth doesn't really like excite me. But for some reason, the word nurture my mental well-being, nurture my inner kid that still has some traumas to work through, nurture my need to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So for some reason, the word nurture is more powerful to me. And when I think of that as like an image, I just think of this tree that I'm continuously watering.
Oh, that's nice. That's a beautiful image.
Thank you.
But it's a nice filter. When having these words or these phrases, what they do is they filter your decision making. And so you could ask, is this potential job nurturing me? Is this something I'm going to learn in? Is this going to nurture me? If it is, great, you do it. If it's not, you go, no thanks. This isn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I like about having these things, because it does help you in decision making.
Oh, absolutely.
No, what was coming to me was more play big.
Ooh.
And part of that has to do with a recent interview that we did, which I'm so excited to share with our audience sometime next year. But just play, because I think play is important and that we need to have more of it, or I need to have more of it in my life. And I've found ways to play in this year that I am not willing to give up. And play big because I also want to I kind of want to flex a bit more. I want to see where that goes.
I don't think the world's ready for that. I don't think, okay, let me rephrase
I don't think
that.
I'm
I don't
ready
think
for
I'm ready for that.
Why not?
I'm just kidding.
I mean,
Because
what?
When I say you got an ego, I mean, I'm surprised you can even walk through my front door.
Well, I mean, you and Matt say the same thing, right? But I was just trying on these fantastic glasses, and I'm
surprised I didn't get like 3 different snapshots of you in these glasses saying like, tell me how good I look. I look good, right? Tell me how good I look.
I mean, here is the hard part. There were so many glasses that looked so good on me that it was really hard to narrow it down to 2. They were so good. But I ended up going with these glasses, and you're going to see them. I can't wait to share them with you guys. These will be a couple weeks while I get my like very minimal prescription in, because I'm obnoxious. They are so sassy, like so much extra sass than some of the glasses I have right now. And one of the girls there was like, we saw these and I fell in love with these glasses, and I was like, who can actually pull these off? Like, she didn't think they would be able to sell them. And here I walked in with all this sass, put these on, and it was a bigger version of myself. And that bigger version
and that bigger version is what you want to live into next year.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, I want to live into my full potential, and that's where I'm going with it. And I think that there all of these different things that go into it. I love puns, and I love double entendres and all of those things. So if I could have a phrase that captures multiple things for me, that's what I like. So that's where I'm leaning towards right now, is play big. We want to hear from you. What were some highlights for 2020? What intentions are you setting for 2021? Let us know in our private Facebook community. We want to thank our producer and music director, Ron Johnson. This has been an Astronomicus DMR production. Thank you for listening. Remember, it's never too late and you're right on time.